Today we are talking tattoos. Actually, that's a lie. The things we're talking about today have little to do with tattoos. They have a lot to do with everything else and tattoos. Hi, I'm Rick Higgins. Welcome to Mastering the Second Half. And today we're talking tattoos. As you might have noticed, I have a few. On my 40th birthday, I gave myself the gift of my very first one. It was a little small armband up here, easily hidden by a shirt sleeve. Now you see, I had always wanted one, but growing up, I had been led to believe that tattoos were purely for criminals and those who kind of lived on the extremes, and maybe a sailor or two. Now bear with me because I am getting to the point. A couple months after I got that first tattoo, I was swimming within sight of my father. Now bear in mind, I was 40 years old. So as I'm swimming around, I hear this guttural voice from afar just yell, "What the hell is that thing on your arm?" You see, I grew up in an environment where men had certain limitations. For instance, hairstyles, we had a certain number that we could choose from. Jewelry, limited to rings and watches. There were things that men were supposed to do and things that men were not allowed to do. And don't even get me started on earrings, because if a man wore an earring back in the day, it meant he had some issues with sexual identity. Now, men and women were completely different. Women got to experiment with things. Women got to do things. Men got to not. So why now, 20 years after that first little tattoo on my arm, am I covered in them? Why do I have a hoop in my ear? And what are people of my age group doing? Now, I was really curious what people in different age groups did as far as tattoos, and I found this really cool data set, and I'm gonna pop this thing up as I'm talking. The millennials, the younger people, back in 2003, only 13% of them actually had tattoos, but jump to near today, and it's 35%, a 300% increase in that group. And the other groups, for instance, the 40 to 49 age group, they were almost exactly mimicking what the millennials did. And my age group, 50 to 64, completely flatlined. They started out low, we stayed low. I suppose people of a certain age just aren't tattoo people. So next I looked at cosmetic surgery, and the most popular age group there was between 35 and 50. So again, my age demographic, we're just not in the thick of it. Now I find this curious because my age group, well, we should have the biggest difference between the way we feel inside and what is showing up on our exterior. I mean, that's the biggest reason I do the things I do, is because the guy that I see in the mirror, the guy that I see in my dreams, he's not the guy that I feel like I am inside. Now, for the record, I have almost 30 tattoos, and they're grouped in three areas, obviously, one on each arm and one ankle. I spent a little over 200 hours in the chair and many, many thousands of dollars in order to get these things. And you want to know something funny? Most of the time, I don't even see them. Seriously, they're right here in front of me. And most days, I don't even notice that I have them. I mean, after all, how many times do you look down at your arm and notice that freckle or mole that's always been there? These things, they're just a part of me. Now, each one of these is a story about a person, a place, some time in my life. Now, some people collect tattoos for the beauty. I collect them for the history, and I don't regret a single one of them. Not even my mistakes, and yeah, I've got two that are really big mistakes. Now, when I went to Spain back in 2017, I was noticed for my tattoos. I felt really odd. They didn't have them over there. At the time, people sort of looked at tattoos as being for, well, degenerates, I suppose. Now, they weren't very obvious about it. They weren't very rude about it. They kind of give you that side eye look. But I was the first time that I ever felt noticed for changing my body. Now, it was kind of cool because the people who did have tattoos, they usually kept them hidden, and they would see me and they would casually, very discreetly kind of show me theirs. But it was really odd. For the first time, I really noticed that I was very different. Which makes me wonder if that isn't the reason why the over 50 crowd hasn't embraced the tattoo craze. Are we so ensconced in our mindsets that we just can't change? Okay, guys, and yes, I am talking to you men right now. I want you to think about women. No, not that way. Come on, get serious. I want you to think about women in a different way. Think about their routines. Women dye their hair, women wear makeup, women change their clothing, the clothing styles as often as the sun comes up and comes down, but we men, we don't. Think back in the day, women can dye their hair, men don't. Because men make comments about, oh, it looks like he's got shoe polish in his hair. In fact, just last night, I was talking to a fellow 60-year-old friend who pointed over there's some guy and went, he dyes his hair, like it's some bad thing that we guys can't do. And it's the same thing with many other things, jewelry, clothing, you name it. Men of a certain age just can't see themselves altering themselves. But maybe that's because they don't actually see themselves. Now for me, I get a real close-up look at myself twice a week. This $2,000 camera setup I'm talking to right now has some really good resolution. And as I sit over there editing these videos, I get to see every single pore, every single day. And I gotta tell you, it ain't pretty. Okay, let's skip the tattoo talk for a little bit and talk about face cream. And I apologize right now to the podcast audience. You're not going to be able to see this, but I'm going to try to describe it as best I can. I went through this monthly ritual of nightly moisturizer and anti-aging cream and this weird stuff you're supposed to put under your eyelids to stop bagging. I'm trying to get rid of this, well, years of self-abuse. Oh, and by the way, yeah, I know my face is red in the video. I have rosacea. There's not a lot I can do about that right now. Just ignore that part. It actually worked, this routine, to some degree. The lines on my forehead and in my face, they're a lot smoother. The bags under my eyes are pretty much gone, except for one, and I'm gonna start working heavily on that side. So do I look 30? Oh, hell no. There have been too many years of self-abuse and not being able to pronounce the word sunscreen for me to roll back that clock. But do I, as a 60-year-old man, am I willing to change my normal, boring, routine, morning, daily hygiene to do something new and different, to be a little more improving? Yeah, I am. In fact, I'm willing to do a little bit more than that. Guys, we were fed a bag of lies, that men age gracefully, that we simply turn gray, and that we look dignified. Well, no, we look old. And I tell you, except for George Clooney, the rest of us, that pretty much sums it up. We just look older. And honestly, I think George gets a little bit of pampering, so he kind of gets that suave, oh my God, he's so good looking look. It ain't natural. So Tats and face cream, what do they have in common? Well, by using either one, both, or something else, you get to take control of your body. You own your body. Everything from head to toe, back to front, you own. And you're allowed to do anything you want with it, anytime. Okay, Q&A time, because I get asked these questions a lot. Does it hurt? Some hurt, some don't, depends on the location. You know, for instance, this guy just made me cry. Up on my arms, I actually tend to fall asleep. They have to wake me up to roll me over to get to another angle. So yeah, some of them tickle, some of them hurt like hell, but don't worry, it's only for a few hours, and then you got a couple days of sunburn. Are they expensive? Yes and no. It depends on what kind of quality you want. A cheap tattoo looks like a cheap tattoo. An expensive tattoo can look either way. The price is not as important as the artist. Find somebody who's really good, and if they charge a lot more money, it doesn't matter. You know, what kind of painting do you want to hang on your wall? Something made by a third grader or somebody who's a professional, and you actually have to pay for them. So yeah, they can be a little expensive, but you know, it's worth it. Spend the money. You really slept through a whole tattoo? Yeah, really, I wasn't joking. She actually had to wake me up on several occasions, on several trips, just so she can get a different angle to finish my tattoo. It happens. Which one is your favorite? This one right here, and I hope you can see it within all of the mess that is my arm. It is a bird, and for me it represents freedom. You see, I have a lot of flying dreams, flying, being able to soar and do what I want, wherever I want. And this bird right here reminds me of those dreams. It tells me that I can do anything I want. I just have to flap my wings and fly. Are you gonna get more? I don't know. Yes, maybe no. It really kind of all depends on if something happens in my life that is worthy of noting. Now, I do feel kind of strange because I've run out of space on my arms, and that's why I'm kind of starting on a leg. I probably will, but the manic, I want to catch up and record my history. that's done. I think I've completed all of that. So would I get more? Yeah, I got to go find something really great and really auspicious and new and wonderful, and then maybe I'll stick that on the other side of my ankle. Does your father still hate them? Not really. He doesn't talk about them anymore, no matter how much I actually try to provoke him. And I have to tell you a little story. For some reason, I love now trying to get him to react. He looks at my arms and he doesn't see anything. So like at Christmas time, I get one of the Christmas balls off of the Christmas tree and I hang it off the hoop in my ear and I walk around just trying to get a rise out of him. And I just kind of get the... So no, he is not vocal about them anymore. I don't know if he even notices them, or maybe he's just as used to them as I am. And finally, a fun fact. Do you know which country has the most adult tattoos? Number 3 was Sweden. Number 2 is us here in the United States. And number 1 is Italy. I don't know why that fascinates me so much. I would not have guessed Italy. For some reason, I thought it would have been us here in the United States of America, but I guess, much like healthcare, we're just not destined to be number 1 in certain categories. And with that, be healthy, be happy, go get a tattoo, work on your face, and we'll see you real soon.